Hey guys, so yesterday was November 23rd, 2022, and on 10 years before that, November 23rd, 2012, I uploaded the first video on this channel called My Action Movie Collection. And so now that was a decade and 1 day ago. I'm a day late making this video, but I actually think that's alright because today's Thanksgiving. And there's some stuff I want to just say I'm thankful for. I'll probably do that later at the end of the video. I've made YouTube videos for over 10 years. I actually even have channels from before this one that have even older videos. But this channel specifically now has its sort of 10-year anniversary of the first video. And I just kind of wanted to do, 1 decade later, my new movie collection. I actually haven't even seen maybe even half of these right now, which is pretty bad on my part, but I will see them eventually. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get started with some of the first movies, and these are ones that aren't really mine. Actually, Predator I think I do own. This I think I got from a thrift store somewhere, but Predator I've seen. That's a really entertaining movie, perfect 3-act structure. Super 8, this one, I didn't buy when it wasn't given to me or anything, but this is just a movie that always sort of, felt like mine. I don't know. When I saw it, it was the kind of thing that felt like it was made for me. Iron Man, the first MCU movie, and still to this day, one of the best, and probably arguably, of all the MC movies, the one that will hold up the best over time. This here, the Mummy trilogy, I've seen the first movie, The Mummy, but not The Mummy Returns or Tomb of the Dragon Emperor yet. But I really like the first movie. It's just really good. That one is definitely not mine. That one's like my dad's. This one, also definitely not mine. Kiki's Delivery Service. This is on my shelf because I always, have meant to watch it. And just never got around to it, and that's probably the case with most movies in history at this point. It's oh yeah, I've been meaning to watch that for 10 years. This is Dark City, same kind of thing. This one is not mine. I don't even know how long we've had this or where it's from, but Dark City I heard was really good, so it's on my shelf. The Animatrix, I also haven't seen The Animatrix, which is horrible because The Matrix is my favorite movie, and I'd really like to watch that at some point. The thing is, I think the Dark City DVD and maybe even the Animatrix DVD are scratched up, so I'm not sure how good it would be for me to watch them. And then we have The Aviator. I just saw this recently. I think this movie is absolutely fantastic. But the reason those were all sort of stacked up on the shelf right here instead of in the line like the rest of them is because I'm less sure about, I don't really own them in the same way that I own all of these, which are, more confidently mine. I also have Back to the Future. I think I got this one from a thrift store somewhere, but it's a VHS, so I don't even think we have a way to watch this. But I also think owning Back to the Future on VHS is, such a radical move. Then we have the movie Crawl. I don't know why I have this. The only person for who it would make sense to buy is me. I'm assuming I got it at Walmart or 7-Eleven. Maybe I stole it or something. And I don't think I actually watched this DVD. I think I saw this movie on Hulu one time. And honestly, I didn't even think it was that good. Okay, so then I guess we'll start at the back and we'll make our way up to the big, important, cool stuff. This here, Barbie, A Mermaid Tale and A Mermaid Tale 2. I haven't seen either of these movies, but they're still the greatest of all time, basically. I basically got that as a sort of a prank present for my grandpa one year, and the disc that was inside was Hacksaw Ridge. I'll just put this back on the shelf. I don't know why I took it off like that. This right here, Suicide Squad. Did something just fall on the ground? This right here, Suicide Squad 2016. Simply one of the most ridiculous movies ever. I That one actually is definitely not mine. I borrowed that from my friend Zach because I wanted to watch the movie, and he just owned it on Blu-ray. So I was, I guess, borrowing it from him, and I watched it that way. But, you know, he never asked for it back, and that's understandable. You know, it's Suicide Squad 2016. But nonetheless, that's not actually my movie. However, we will talk about Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I know I bought this one. I've already made a YouTube video where I go in depth on this one about, you know, the sort of educational value. So I think, you know, there's a lot people don't know about history, and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter can teach them many things. Then we got 2012. This movie is actually almost 3 hours long, believe it or not. You know, when I was a kid, I was really obsessed with the idea, like, that the world was going to end in 2012. That was something that, like both made me very panicked, but also that I couldn't possibly take very seriously. Here we've got Terminator 3. I bought this from a thrift store, and I actually don't think I've ever finished watching this because it's just super boring. Sorry. This here, Wonder Woman, this was actually a Secret Santa present to me from one of my classmates at Governor's School. And I saw this movie, I think, twice in theaters, and I haven't watched it since then, but it's fine. We also have Taken. I have no idea where this is from. I do think the one, like, Liam Neeson phone call scene is kind of cool, but other than that, that movie is sorely lacking. Cloverfield. I think this was a birthday present for me at some point. And this movie actually, I think I've only seen it once, and it actually really scared me when I watch it. So I'd kind of like to see it again. But I definitely don't think I would find it very scary today. Next up, we got The Amazing Spider-Man 2012. This movie is actually pretty decent. I really prefer the Sam Raimi movies, but this first Amazing Spider-Man is still pretty cool. I just think the Lizard makes a lot of sense for, like, Spider-Man's origin story villain. We've also got The Incredible Hulk, which is not a great movie, but I'll probably die on the hill that it's underrated, just because, like, there's a lot of cool Hulk stuff in it, especially towards the end. Like, the fight with Abomination definitely kicks ass. Someday we'll get a great live-action Hulk movie. I believe that. Pacific Rim. This movie I was beyond excited for when it came out, like when it was coming out. I'm not sure why I was so hyped to see it. I think I've just always loved, you know, giant monsters and giant robots, and they were fighting it out, and it's totally awesome. And Pacific Rim, I was actually way too excited for it when I saw it, so I actually watched it, and I was a little bit sort of let down, but I never really stopped thinking about it, and I had talked about it so often before it came out, like, I think my mom assumed I loved it, and so I ended up getting it as maybe a Christmas present, and so I watched it a few more times, and it just, like, kept getting better, and now I think, you know, it is a movie I like a lot, but it's probably, you know, like a 7.5 out of 10 maybe. Iron Man 3, I think I've seen this. I saw it in theaters opening weekend, and I've probably seen it like one time on DVD. But this is a pretty good movie. I like the sort of the humor it has, and I think it has some unique action scenes. But I mean, oh shit. What I've been thinking about recently is, like, I would have liked to see sort of a real Iron Man versus Mandarin. Next up, we have Transformers. This is, like, maybe my favorite movie ever, to be honest with you. I just love this movie, Transformers. It's really hard to explain. But I've probably seen this movie over 20 times. This was always, like, my go-to road trip movie. And then I also have this Transformers 2 film collection, which is super weird. It's Transformers Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction, which, like, was just a weird point for the franchise, because they went from, like, the Shia LaBeouf lead to Mark Wahlberg, and so the movies just became very different. This right here is a 10 film collection. I think I got this from a grocery store, like Food Lion or something. And I got this only for the original 1968 George Romero Night of the Living Dead, which I have seen, but I haven't seen any of the other ones on here. Oh wait, I actually have. I've seen this movie I Am Omega, which I don't think is very good, but I didn't watch it from this DVD, Night of the Living Dead. I did, and that's a great movie, but I saw it a long time ago, probably like 10 years ago or something. And then we've got Marvel's Avengers. This was some kind of present, and I think this movie still holds up. I mean, it's crazy what the MCU kind of morphed into, but this movie, like when it came out, was just sort of a very unique moment because it felt like the potential of like comic books on film kind of exploded with this movie, and obviously they did, for better and for worse. Casablanca. It's just, I mean, there's really very little to say about it that hasn't been said already. It's a classic. It's got a little bit of everything. One of the great endings in movie history. Night of the Living Dead is horror, not action. But this is the first, that's not like a genre movie. We've also got 2001, A Space Odyssey. I've seen this only in theaters. I saw it on 70mm film at the Music Box in Chicago. Which was totally the way to go. That was just earlier this year, and this is an unbelievable movie. We also have Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. This movie I feel like is just super rewatchable. I think I've only seen it twice in its entirety, but I mean it's almost a comfort movie in a way. Like all Kubrick, it's just absolutely sort of impeccable filmmaking. Not sort of impeccable, absolutely impeccable filmmaking. Life of Pi I got for myself from a thrift store, and I still have not seen this. It's another one of those movies that's on my shelf that I'm going to get to, and so is Gone with the Wind. I do need to get to this, but this one is just so long, and I'm worried that I just won't like it or even respect it, but I will watch it eventually. In a way, I had 2001 for a long time before I actually watched it because I was saving it for a theatrical experience. And I really kind of would like to watch Gone with the Wind in a theater because it's one of those movies that's just so grandiose. We've also got American Hustle. I also haven't seen this movie. Then we've got 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. This is such a random movie for me to have, to be honest. This movie is totally fine. I honestly don't have very much to say about it. And of all the movies I own, it is probably the one I'm most likely to forget that I do. Then we have Zero Dark 30. And this movie is really dark, but it's also really good. I think Catherine Bigelow is just an awesome director. She really needs to make another movie ASAP. Okay, next up we have Blade Runner 2049. The only time I've seen this in full was in the theaters in IMAX. Really gorgeous, like, lighting, composition, and music. Ryan Gosling is great in this, and this movie also kind of introduced the world to Ana de Armas, so we have to be thankful for it. We've got Mad Max Fury Road. Just totally mind-blowing. It's one of those movies that kind of blew my mind for the first time I watched it, and then I didn't see it again for a long time, but I always had sort of distinct memories of it, and it still blows my mind every time I watch it, so that's how you know it's great. Next up, we've got some Criterion's Memories of Murder. I bought this one for myself earlier this year, and I just watched it this past October. This is a fantastic movie. I don't really want to say much about it, but it's just, incredibly well made. And I think Bong Joon-ho is, seriously a genius. Then we have this movie, Dreams. I got this for my birthday this year. Akira Kurosawa. I've seen maybe the first 45 minutes of this. It's really cool. And I will finish it eventually. Rashomon. I love when movies are able to do a lot of different things very well, and this movie manages to be sort of dark and funny and scary and exciting all at the same time while still feeling really sort of cohesive, but also like totally incohesive in a really smart way. But yeah, if you haven't seen Rashomon, that's an incredible movie. Miller's Crossing, like the Kurosawas, this was also a birthday present. And this movie is really good. The Coen brothers have actually a phenomenal track record. Then we have Come and See. I bought this for myself, and I just watched it like a month ago. And this actually just became the highest rated film of all time on Letterboxd. I do understand why it's so well regarded, and I do think it's a great movie. However, I also think it's a little bit hard to just recommend, like, oh yeah, you should see this movie, Come and See, because it's not that type of movie where you're just like, oh yeah, you should just watch that. This one, not really mine, I guess. So it's upside down on my shelf, but this is Matawan, and I will get to it eventually, I promise. Next up, we've got Barry Lyndon, another Stanley Kubrick. Like the others, technically impeccable, but also like super funny, and kind of bitter and, you know, dramatic, and like always doing something unexpected. Then we have My Beautiful Laundrette. I think this one might also not be technically mine. It might be my dad's, sort of, but I keep it up here. He might have gotten it for me. I'm not actually 100% sure what the detail is. I thought this movie was okay. And now we've got my most prized possessions. First up is Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project, #1. This contains Tuki Buki from Senegal, Ritas from Mexico, A River Called Titus from India/Bangladesh, Dry Summer from Turkey, Trances from Morocco, and The Housemaid from South Korea. I've seen Tuki Buki from that. I also have edition #2 right here, which contains Inseong from the Philippines, Mysterious Object at Noon from Thailand, Revenge, but from the Soviet Union, Limit from Brazil, Law of the Border from Turkey, and Taipei Story from Taiwan. I think the World Cinema Project that Scorsese has done is super important, and super interesting, and I'm really glad that I have those. One of the coolest things I have here is this World of Wong Kar-wai. This thing is just, like, this collection is like a true work of art, you know, the way you open it up. Comes with this book in the front. So this thing is really cool, just as its own work of art, you know, regardless of the movies themselves. As far as Wong Kar-wai, I still need to see most of these. I have seen 2046, and I thought that was great. I thought that was a phenomenal movie. This World of Wong Kar-wai collection, and the Scorsese World Cinema Projects, those were all birthday presents from this year. And last but not least, we have the biggest birthday present of them all, Ingmar Bergman's Complete Cinema. This thing is massive. I haven't really gone through even looking at that yet. It's kind of intimidating in a way. There's 30 discs in here, and this thing is super expensive. I got this from my grandparents. I truly could not believe that. But I will get to those. It's just kind of an intimidating thing. You know, the thing about important movies like the Wong Kar-wais and the Ingmar Bergmans and the you can't just watch, you know, the important movies all the time. I feel like that doesn't give you a good sense of what the cinematic landscape is actually like. So I think I have a relatively diverse set of films here. I really do need to expand this collection, but I also mostly need to watch the movies that are already in it. Well, first I want to say, like, I'm so thankful to have all of these movies. They're mostly things that other people have bought me. I'm grateful for that, but I'm grateful for the filmmakers who made this. I'm grateful for, you know, Scorsese for trying to preserve the history of cinema around the world. I'm grateful for, like, physical media, which is something that I'm trying to appreciate more. I live in such a sort of digital world, and YouTube is a big part of that, actually. But I'm grateful for YouTube too, to be able to have something that I like doing. I don't make YouTube videos very often anymore, but I like doing it enough that 10 years later, here I am. It's a way that movies have become much more accessible to me, and to so many others. And I love the ability to share that. And, you know, I think YouTube and really the internet as a whole is kind of a lot like life. Like you say, there's a lot of things that suck about it. There's a lot of things that are totally just bullshit. Um, but at the end of the day, like, it's how people communicate with each other, and share information and culture and history and record things, share things about themselves and learn things about others. And I think all of that is kind of beautiful. So I'm grateful for the internet and YouTube, and people who make YouTube videos and people who watch YouTube videos, because you don't have to spend your time doing that. But I'm grateful if you do. So yeah, thank you for watching. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And here's to 10 more years of adding to this collection. So I'll see you then if we don't all die in nuclear war or because of climate change.